How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Fordham Firesides. This is gonna be a different video. Today it's just me. It'll be a short one. We're gonna do a quick Q&A video. I reached out on my Instagram page and people submitted a lot of questions, so I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna answer each and every one of them to the best of my ability. This will be the final episode of this school year. I will do a couple over the summer. I have a couple lined up, and then I'll kick things back into full gear in the fall. But I figured I'd just get a final one out there. I haven't really done too many in the past month and a half. I've been busy with finals and stuff. But I have to do one last type episode, and this is exactly what this is going to be. So Q&A. Okay, first question. This is a fitting one. What goes into making an episode? Okay, so each episode, I get in touch with my guest. I either reach out to them or they reach out to me. We come up with a date, and they come over and we record. I set up all of this. I have this table right here that I got from King's. I have these mics, my cameras. I have lights on top of each camera, and I record everything directly into my computer on Logic Pro, and I edit it all down, put the video with the audio in Adobe Premiere, and that's how I play through, and I switch back between the two camera angles, so it's when people are talking, the camera is either pointed at the guest or it's pointed at me. Yeah, that's mostly it. That's from the production standpoint. The setup takes a bit. The editing takes usually about as long as the episode itself. Just getting the files onto the computer takes a little bit. And then I upload it onto YouTube. And then I do a promotional bit on my Instagram page, either a video clip or just a screenshot from the episode. In terms of preparing for the podcast, it depends on the guest. It depends on the topic. So guests like Father McShane, I obviously did more research into what I was going to talk about and what I was going to ask. But with more casual episodes or club leaders and that sort of thing, I try and go into it cold, because I feel like if I don't know too much about that person's subject, then the conversation flows naturally as I ask questions and that sort of thing. It's like I'm discovering what the guest is about along with the audience, and I feel like that's kind of the flow I go for in my podcast. Favorite goose memory. This is, of course, the classic Fordham bar that just got shut down because Simon opened Barnyard Barbecue. Favorite goose memory. Wow. I like Blue Goose. There was some fun times to be had there, especially my freshman year. But if I had to say my favorite memory, Last December, I actually did a Fordham Firesides year one party with all of my previous guests, and they had the whole bar shut down for us, and it was just for 2 hours, and that was a lot of fun. I really liked doing that. I was able to walk around and actually have space in Goose, which is something you don't get too much, but that would probably be my favorite Goose memory. Did you cry when you watched Endgame for the first time? This is, of course, the Avengers movie. My good friend Ethan Saggy came on a couple months ago, and we did talk about Marvel. I did not do a post-Endgame episode. I probably won't. But Endgame, fantastic movie. I did not actually cry the first time or the second time. I did the third time, however. And I won't spoil the movie in case you haven't seen it, but the first time I watched it, I was just at the edge of my seat trying to figure out, oh, man, what's going to happen next? And it was really exciting, and it didn't allow me to savor the emotional moments, because there definitely are quite a few in that movie. And in the second time, I was kind of pissed because I didn't cry. I was I wanted to be emotional. So then I went in with that mentality that I want to just take everything in as much as possible, and that didn't do it for me. But the third time I did, I just sat back, watched the movie. I'd already seen it a couple times, and I was able to savor those moments, and I did have a lone tear rolling down my cheek in a particular scene towards the end of the movie. Very beautiful. What keeps you up at night? I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good sleeper. I usually don't have too much trouble with that. I fall asleep pretty easily. I don't know what keeps me up at night. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with nothing on that one. What should I do as an incoming freshman to help with the transitioning process? I've done orientation. I I've been an orientation leader the past 2 years, and I'm gonna do it again. Orientation is a great time, and I recommend that you just kind of go with it. I know there's a lot of kids out there who want to skip their orientation events and stuff because they're doing like some sick things or something. No, you're not. If you go to your orientation events, you're not missing out on anything. It's a good way to just to get like inaugurated into the school and see what's going on. That's a great way to meet people, go to the events. I know this is just like it sounds like I'm being an orientation leader and I'm saying what I'm supposed to say, but I'm really not. Like I met some friends early on freshman year by going to those events, and then I don't know, make friends with the people on your floor. That's a great way to do it because having friends in college is one of the most essential things to having a good time there. On a scale of 1 to 10, how next level is our Arctic Monkeys podcast going to be? This is my friend Maeve. She's coming on sometime over this summer, and we're going to talk about the Arctic Monkeys, one of my favorite bands, her absolute favorite band. If you guys haven't been able to guess, I do like talking about music a lot on here, so it'll be very next level. So I'd give it a strong 9. What are your thoughts on the implications of the rising price of gold in the global economy? I know this is from something. I've definitely heard this line multiple times. I don't remember. I don't know what it's from. Someone's gonna like get mad and it's gonna be like it's from Step Brothers or something, which is a movie I've not seen. So my answer to that is I don't know. Like if I'm just like looking at the question as a legitimate question, I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff. Thoughts on the current Game of Thrones season? I've actually got multiple questions about this one. Dave and I are actually going to do a wrap-up podcast in a couple weeks after Game of Thrones ends, and we'll go into it more. But all I'll say right now is it's not good. It's not good. It's very disappointing. I know there's shows out there that like Lost or The Sopranos. I haven't seen The Sopranos. I need to watch The Sopranos, but I love Lost. But the way those shows end is like they have people like maybe disappointed because they're inconclusive or it doesn't end on like a very satisfying note. Game of Thrones is just turned into like a dumber version of what it was, and it's kind of depressing. Which is your favorite bar? Barnyard Barbecue. It's such a great place. It's got like all the charms of the other bars combined into one, and then it's also just a really big space. I really like it. Shout out to Muggs, though. I do love going there. And I mean, I like Hal, too. I like them all, but Barnyard's my number one. What is it like starting a podcast? I've transferred from Fordham, and I want to start one. The reason I started this podcast was for a class, actually, in the fall. It was a media class, and we had like kind of an open-ended final project, and the professor told us about that on the first day, and I just kind of got this idea going. I was like, what if I just did a podcast, like right out of my bedroom? And I approached her about it the first day, and I'm like, can I just start my project now and do a podcast? And she gave me the green light, and that's why I started this, and I'm still doing it now, long after that class even ended. What is it like? I don't. It's good. It's fun. I like doing it. If you're asking for like tips or something, I mean, I made sure that I had good mics. I've done video stuff in the past, so I already had the cameras. I had to buy this interface, this piece right here, which is where the mics plug into, and condense like the audio to go right into my laptop over there. But I don't know. Make sure you have like sufficient equipment to like have a certain level of quality. I know like this is like the golf thing where it's like you can be like just because you have really nice golf clubs doesn't make you a good golfer. But I will say with podcasting, like if you have good equipment, like it keeps it up to like a certain quality level that makes it more enticing for people to watch. So, don't spend way too much money, but if you're serious about starting a podcast, I would definitely invest a decent amount to make it as good as you want it to be. And then make sure you have guests and make sure you have a theme and something you want to talk about. That's why I think Fordham Firesides has worked for me because, it's like the gimmick of the show. Like it's Fordham guests and it's directed to a Fordham audience. And I don't know, you got to have some kind of hook to bring people in, because if it's just you and your friends sitting around just talking about nonsense, like that may be fun for you and that's awesome. but that's not necessarily going to draw people in. So make sure you have something specific that you want to talk about that can bring people to want to watch your show. Who do you think weighs more, Simon or Suits? Shout out to Simon. He's a big guy. He wears it well, though. They both do. In your opinion, what one change would have the biggest impact on Fordham? Maybe if they made it an all boys school or an all girls school and stop making it co-ed, that would be a pretty big change. When's the next Fordham Jokers dropping? Oh yeah. If any of you guys haven't seen that was the first video that's actually on my YouTube channel here. My friends and I, sophomore year, that was like a year and a half ago now, we made our own episode of the hit show Impractical Jokers on True TV, and we filmed it here on campus. And the format of that show is that there's like different challenges, and it's like a prank show, but the prank is on the guys doing it, so it's not, like mean-spirited. You're not harassing people necessarily. But for instance, like I'd go around the cafeteria and my friends would be behind the scenes telling me like to go up to people and say certain things. And then whoever refuses the most challenges by the end of the episode had to do a punishment. And my friend Scott lost, and he had to stand up in the library and say that he shit his pants, which was really embarrassing. And it's a really funny video. It's like 25 minutes long. Full episode, but it's amazing. You should go check it out. But in terms of an episode 2... I kind of hoped I would do one this year, but ended up being too busy. I will definitely have at least one more by the time I graduate, hopefully next fall. So keep an eye out for that. Thoughts on the latest Game of Thrones episodes? Not good. Rank your favorite beers. Okay. I don't know. I guess Heineken's number one. That's probably my beer. I like this 312 Goose IPA that they sell around here. That one's pretty good. I don't know. I'm not too much of a beer connoisseur to have like a list, but those are probably the top. I mean, I'll drink like Bud Light too. Can't go wrong with that. How do you get your hair to look so good? The key is to don't wash it ever. No, I'm kidding. That's not true. I don't think my hair looks that good. It's just longer than what it was in high school. So maybe I just have that natural like wavy look to it. Hey, you're cute. Hey, cutie, what are you up to later? This is my friend, Aiden. I'm calling him out. Hey, cutie, what are you up to later? He asked that again. What are your thoughts on the next episode of Game of Thrones? Hey, cutie, what are you up to later? And what are your thoughts on the next episode of Game of Thrones? All right, those are some really, really good questions. The Game of Thrones thing again, I guess this one's different because it's asking what I think the next episode will be. I will say this, is that because I think the third episode was really bad, made some terrible decisions for the show. And then the last two have been like, but based on what happened in that last episode, it kind of really proved to me that this show is basically done, and I don't have high expectations for it. I kind of can predict what's going to happen, and it's going to end, and that'll be it. So, I don't know. It's probably the least excited I've been for a Game of Thrones episode, but of course I'm going to watch it, so we'll see. What motivated you to start this podcast? I pretty much answered that one already, did it for a class. I also like media and stuff. That's my major. I'm a new media and digital design major. So, podcasts have been something I've been interested in for a while, so, I was excited to do it. Updated top 3 Marvel movies after Endgame. Why don't I just go ahead and read it off? Don't mind if I do. From 22 to 1, Incredible Hulk, Thor the Dark World, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2, Thor, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 1, Black Panther, Captain America 1, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Thor Ragnarok. Now we're in the top 10. Avengers 1, Winter Soldier, Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Age of Ultron, very underrated. Guardians of the Galaxy 1, top 5. Iron Man 3, fantastic movie, also very underrated. Captain America Civil War, number 4. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What a fantastic movie. I love that movie so much. Avengers Infinity War at number 2 and Endgame at number 1. What does Father McShane smell like? Nothing. I don't know. He didn't have any smell. Favorite album of all time. I actually talked about this a bit when I did my top 10 lists of the 2000s with Matt Peters. There are more of those coming, by the way. I'm going to do top 10 of the 90s sometime later this month or in June. So keep an eye out for that. But my favorite album of the 2000s is Arcade Fire's Funeral, and that is also my favorite album of all time. It is really good. It's a fantastic album. It's so raw and emotional and energetic and catchy, and it's sick. Wow. I need to get some water. Funeral. Amazing album. I really like all of Arcade Fire's stuff too, except for the last one, which was very disappointing. But Suburbs is also fantastic. Really like Neon Bible and Reflector too. They're a fantastic band. If you haven't listened to them, check them out. They're so good. What video editing software do you do? I mentioned this before. I use Adobe Premiere. Does it hurt being so skinny? No, it feels really good. Why haven't you done an episode with all of your roommates yet? Well, I haven't done one with Tino because he doesn't want to, and Frank because we haven't come up with a good topic yet, but that'll come at some point. What thing, example, another bar, a better gym, etc., would make Fordham better? Well, we just got another bar, so it wouldn't be that. I don't know, maybe that made Fordham better. I don't know, maybe if there was like more of like a hip place to go around here. Like I know we have like Beer Hall and Clinton Hall, which are great options, and eventually Barnyard when they start serving food. But if there was a place that was like an Applebee's that wasn't Applebee's to go to, like that would be pretty cool. That'd be fun. Who's your favorite roommate? Me. My roommate asked that, so I can't really answer that. I couldn't answer it either way. Where did you come up with the name Fordham Firesides? There was a kid in my class, Kyle, shout out to him, in my video editing class, because I actually named this Fordham Conversations at first, and I was having a conversation with someone, no pun intended, that's not really a pun, but whatever, and this was like when I was 3 episodes in, back in like September, and someone's like, yeah, I've heard of Fordham Conversations and stuff, that's with WFUV, right? And I was like, no, that's not right. Turns out like WFUV has a show called Fordham Conversations, and I completely missed that. So I changed my name, and I was talking about this in my video production class last semester, and Kyle was like, what about Fordham Firesides? And I was like, ooh, I kind of like that. So I switched it, and yeah, it's a good name. It sticks, and I like the logo that I made for it too, so it kind of works. Favorite rapper from the trap/SoundCloud era? This is an era that I think gets way too much hate from your old heads and that sort of thing. People are just like, oh yeah, your little pumps and stuff, and it's all trash. But there's definitely some good stuff in there. I'd probably say Denzel Curry's my favorite. He's fantastic. Taboo was one of the best rap albums of last year. And then also shout out to JPEG Mafia. I don't know if he's like the same. I don't know if I'd call him. He's definitely not trap. I mean, neither is really Denzel Curry. Denzel Curry's more SoundCloud, but JPEG Mafia is like more of like an emo rapper, but he's got some really cool experimental production and tendencies and stuff. And his album Veteran also very good. So check out both those albums, Taboo and Veteran. Highly recommend both of them. But yeah, my answer for that mostly is probably Denzel Curry. What was your favorite interview of the year? I'm assuming this means for the whole year, or from the whole school year, not just 2019. So favorite interview I've done so far. I don't know. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But if I'm being honest, like the ones I like the most, at least when I'm recording them in the moment, are like probably the music list ones. Like those aren't my most popular ones by any means, but I really like them because, you know, that's something I like talking about. But I really like doing every podcast, and I know it's like the thing where people are like, oh, I can't choose between my children. Like it legitimately is that, because when I record one, I haven't had a single disappointing episode so far, but after I record it and make it and put it up, I don't really go back and watch them that much. I did towards the beginning, but I just like feel proud of all of them, and I really like all of them. So I don't know. They're all good. If I had to pick one, probably Father McShane, just because it was like the biggest guest I could have gotten, and I'm really happy with how that one turned out. But yeah, I like that one a lot. I really liked interviewing Blonde Otter back in January. That was a lot of fun. Suits and Simon were great, especially because they came in like very early on in the show. But yeah, I'd probably go Father McShane, but literally there has not been a single bad one. They're all fantastic. And if you haven't seen all of them, go watch all of them. They're very good. Who are you looking to get on the show next year? I don't know. I definitely want more faculty. Maybe I'll talk to more of my professors. I've been recommended some faculty members who'd be interested in coming on. So I'll reach out to more of them. I did want to get Yadira on for the longest time, but I never saw her. And now she quit. She doesn't work at Fordham anymore, so I guess I can't do that. But yeah, I guess my really only plan for who I want to get on is more faculty. Would you consider having a Fordham Firesides event at Barnyard/Mugs where people can meet the show guests? Now that's an interesting question. I did do the event at Goose in December. I mentioned that. I mean, you can meet the show guests just by walking around and stuff. I don't know who you'd most of them are Fordham students, and if they're faculty, they're not going to come to a Barnyard/Mugs event. But yeah, I definitely do another Fordham Firesides event. Make it definitely a Barnyard where there's more space, and all the guests can come and stuff, and people can walk around. I don't know, do some sponsored event maybe. That's not a bad idea. Are you going to make more Fordham Firesides apparel? I did make a couple of shirts. I only made 15, and I sold all of them. I will do more in the fall, I think, as long as there's interest, because they are expensive to print, and I was selling them at a loss last time, so yeah, maybe next time I can print a lot more, sell them. We'll see. Did you like Endgame? What was your favorite part? Of course, I loved Endgame. My favorite part, well, all right. Well, spoiler alert. Just skip ahead 30 seconds if you have not seen this movie, which everyone basically has. But I think Tony's sacrifice at the end is just amazing. And I actually really like the scene where Steve and Tony go back to the 70s, and Tony Stark gets closure with his dad. That was really good. And all the Ant-Man stuff too. Ant-Man finally got his due in the Avengers movies, and I love that character, and he's awesome. So that was all good. And then, have you considered getting sponsors for your show? I actually did have a couple of sponsored episodes in December from Simon. I did a couple of ads there. I'd definitely be down to do that again. I'll probably look into that in the fall. Oh yeah, a lot of music questions. All right, this is the last stretch. The Beatles or Rolling Stones, and why the Beatles? Because Stones are just discount Beatles who think they're cooler. No, I like the Rolling Stones, but the Beatles are definitely better. They just, I think, overall have a better discography, better songs, took more risks. I don't think the Rolling Stones have any album close to the level of Revolver or Sgt. Pepper, or I don't know, maybe I like Let It Bleed a lot, so that one's, I'd probably put that on the same level as Abbey Road and White Album, although those two are probably better. I actually think Abbey Road is pretty overrated, but yeah, definitely the Beatles on that. Top 3 starter indie rock records. Okay, so definitely Arcade Fire Funeral. That's my favorite. I have to toss that one out there. Definitely The Strokes, Is This It? That's a really accessible, really fun indie rock record. I would probably go with, I don't know, need something probably folky. Honestly, maybe Fleet Foxes' debut. Because I wouldn't say it's the best indie folk album. Probably shout out to Neutral Milk Hotel on that one. But yeah, Fleet Fox's self-title is just a great, accessible introduction to indie folk music. So those 3, highly recommend all those. Top 3 starter hip hop records. I feel like I'm not a great voice in this because I feel like my hip hop knowledge isn't as deep as some. I do love Kendrick Lamar a lot, so To Pimp a Butterfly and would definitely be up there. But in terms of 90s hip hop, which everyone's gonna probably hate me for this, but I don't like it as much. I think it's groundbreaking and really interesting. But when you compare something like Illmatic to Pimp a Butterfly, I don't see how you can possibly like Illmatic more. Illmatic came first, but there's just far more interesting stuff going on in To Pimp a Butterfly overall. I'd say this is by far the best decade for rap right now. my three recommendations would probably be My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick, and shout out to the 2000s. I'll go Mad Villainy by MF Doom to give you like a hint from the underground scene. Pavement or Built to Spill. These are two 90s indie rock bands. Built to Spill. That's one of my favorite indie bands. They're so good. I like Pavement too, but Built to Spill has three amazing albums back to back in the 90s. I'll probably talk more about them when I do my 90s list. And then what are your favorite movie soundtracks? The best movie soundtrack of all time is Interstellar. So good. So beautiful, so powerful. That's definitely the best one. Inception is up there. Honestly, all the Hans Zimmer Nolan scores are like nearly perfect. So like my top 10 list of movie soundtracks would probably have 5 of those. But I also really liked the First Man score from this year was really good. Lord of the Rings is obviously fantastic. The Johnny Greenwood stuff from There Will Be Blood and Phantom Thread, those are both really good. I don't know, I'm not one who like listens to a lot of movie scores. I just sort of appreciate them in the movies, but Interstellar is definitely the best one. So, all right, that was a lot of questions. I got through all of them. My throat was kind of making me cough this whole time, but I got through it. So that's it. That was my Q&A video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will be back throughout the summer, here and there, maybe do 6 to 8 episodes between now and August, so keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, when we get back in the fall, we'll be in phase 2, the final phase of Fordham Firesides, because it will end once I graduate. There's nothing I can do about that, but I hope you guys really enjoyed this podcast this year. I certainly love doing it, but, until next time, I've been Hank Michaels. This is Fordham Firesides, and good night. Bye.